Hello guys, welcome to another video. And this one, I was thinking about the like growing my YouTube channel and stuff that belongs in that realm, right? So because at the end of the day, if what I'm posting is not articulated right and not manufactured right and not presented right, then the intended outcome of getting whoever it is updated on the details and to actually make them listen to it at least half of the way of the video. All right, if they like, it doesn't matter if you agree or not. All right, that's not the intended outcome. The intended outcome is that you listen to it and you generate whatever it is, whether you like it or not, whatever it is, and you engage with the video. All right, if you disagree with it, you let me know why you disagree with it, because I'm still starting out, so I only have 3 subscribers as of yet. All right, so at the moment I think I know all 3 people who have subscribed to me. So like the but the viewers, I get around 20 to 30 views per video right now. The recent videos have gone beyond that margin. So because of that, I am still in the ballpark of being able to respond, being able to engage, being able to communicate with whomever it is that is talking, right? So therefore, given this opportunity right now, like until I go past 100,000, 200,000, and then engagement on each and every like, comment and share would be a little bit hard, not a little bit inconvenient. So until that happens, until I go, like, until my head explodes and I get overwhelmed by pride and become someone untouchable and unreachable and think I am beyond everyone, until that happens eventually, all right. Okay, so you will be able to interact with me, and we will be able to do custom videos. So custom videos in the sense that if you have a certain idea, if you have a certain topic that you would like me to talk about and give what I think about it, all right, you can do that, right? All you have to do is just drop a comment. All right, so I am still within that reachability, and I think this is the best time to get it done. So given these ideas, I was thinking, okay, how can I improve? And then I found there's this within YouTube studios, there's this thing called trends, and once you go there, you will find trends related to your niche and your type of discussion. So here, something that got piqued my interest was this thing right here, right, which is Orthodox Christianity conversion. Okay, this, and so you would be able to see that I have highlighted 3 such videos. So one is Orthodox Christianity conversion, then the next one is pedagogy of the oppressed, and the third one is utilitarianism in business ethics. All right, utilitarianism in business ethics. So these are interesting topics that I will be talking about in the future, whereas utilitarianism will have to get its own dedicated one long explanation, because it is not something that you would be like I would be able to do justice in like 15 minutes, you know. But if you really want, like, really guys, if you really want to learn about philosophy and these ethics, morality, stuff like that, you know who does the best unbiased content on this whole of the planet? It is actually Crash Course. All right, there's a YouTube channel called Crash Course, and if you go to that YouTube channel, there's a playlist called Crash Course Philosophy. uh, I would, maybe I'd link it below, so you know what the playlist is. And within this playlist, they break down each and everything, all the logical fallacies, all the logical claims, the moral and ethical problems, and how or else what solutions came up for it. Okay, so it's one hell of a watch if you can go through the playlist. and the videos are also very well, what I would say is very education, like educative. No, you can't say educative. um, how would you say that? Very vivid, I would say, very vivid, and it goes deep into the subject. So it is more of the jargon heavy, but they explain each and every word. So it's a really really good watch. All right, so watch that. I'll link it below. All right. So what I'm going to talk about is Orthodox Christianity and conversion. I'm not going to talk about Orthodox Christianity conversion, like not the full thing. But what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about Orthodox, I'm going to talk about Christianity, and I'm going to talk about conversion. All right. So this is what I'm planning to do, and I think I'll be able to crack open this pipe. All right. So why are there divisions like this, like Orthodox? Okay. So why have they, diverted from the rest of the church? What's so uh, what you say what's so poignant in their reason, uh, as to why they have moved away from the church? All right. So this is a good question to start from, as in let me think about it. So, like, why are there so many churches? Okay, if we are talking about one thing, one book, one truth, one creator, one Jesus, one Holy Spirit, right? If we are talking about one thing, all right, why have they why is there a need, or else why is there such a debate about the message? All right. So when you come to the understanding, and when you go through it, all right, I think there can be about three main reasons as to why most ideas, most understandings, and most interpretations of it differs, and why people start making churches on their own and for whatever the whim is. All right. So one is theology, the next is worship, and the other would be icons or statues. All right. So this is why they differ from one another, like what causes them. Okay. So the first thing we need to understand, okay, regardless of what we are talking about, like which church we are talking about, okay, so it doesn't matter the listener, all right, it doesn't matter which church you belong to, okay, but all of us need to understand is that regardless of whether you believe it or not, regardless of whether you believe the others are wrong and you are the only one correct, okay, regardless of that, right, what you have to believe is that there, because all the churches believe in God, so God is there, that is something you all agree upon, and then you all agree that there was a son, okay, which was Jesus Christ. You all agree that he came, you all agree that he was born, you all agree that he was crucified for your sins, and you all agree that he died for your sins, which was the same point. You all agree that he rose again, and by rising again and by sacrificing himself on the cross, you are absolved of your sins, and therefore now you can attain heaven after you die, albeit you have to be good. All right. So you all agree upon these things, you all agree on the details that I just mentioned. All right. It is just that you do not agree with some things in between, and some things that happened later. Okay. All right. I hope you're with me. Okay. Like, this is the only reason. Like, if there was a very very simplified breakdown of all the churches, okay, and I had to put them onto a table, onto a small table, and one side of the table would be agree, and the other side would be disagree, then on the agree side, okay, everybody will agree on the most fundamental factors about the religion, about God, about Jesus, about everything. Okay, and then along the lines of do not agree, you will find a lot of information, you will find a lot of disagreements, but these things are either things that are not as important or things that happen later on. Okay, so all right, so that being said, okay, that being said, for any sane human being, okay, there shouldn't be a difference between the churches. All right, because ultimately like you're not talking about a different God, you're not talking about a different Jesus Christ, you're not talking about a different crucifixion. Okay, you all are talking about the same scenario, same thing, same story. Adam and Eve, God came, cast out of Eden, they, because of this original sin, then Jesus had to come in, and he had to die, and only his blood will be able to save us, and thereby everything else happens. So this part of the story, all of you agree. Okay, so that's the only thing that matters, right? Like, nowhere in the Bible or in the history of Jesus or in the tradition of Jesus, okay, has he ever stated that you have to go to church every Sunday. Okay, and he has not specified which church also. Has he specified which version of the Bible that you need to read? Has he specified which prayers that you need to say? Has he specified have he specified which whether or not that you can worship statues, and if not, you are permitted to come to heaven if you do so. Okay, because the thing that we need to understand is that when it comes to Old Testament and the New Testament, okay, uh, Old Testament is seen as the first time that God made a pact with humans, and how since then humans and God and his relationship has grown. Okay, so when it comes to the first instance where God makes a pact with humans, we are greeted with Abraham. All right, and it it leads to a big destruction and flooding of the earth. But oh no, that was fucking Noah, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, dyslexic. Anyway, so we are starting with Abraham, all right, the first of the forefathers, and we are starting with Abraham, and Abraham's story does not end with a flood or destruction. So, but rather it starts with the understanding, and it starts with an agreement between the two, that you do this to me and you will have this from me. Okay, so that is God coming to a human's life, a man's life, and giving them an, I would say, alternative. All right, and it was a choice, and Abraham chose, and therefore it happens. So no one disagrees on this, none of the churches disagree on this. Then the next thing that happens is that God then makes a pact with Moses, no, Noah. So he makes a pact with Noah. So why am I calling it a pact? Because there was a significant moment and a signifying thing that happens in the story that that shows the agreement between the two. So in the pact with Abraham, all right, Abraham didn't have children, and therefore God gave him children. So the child stands as proof of the agreement and of the fulfillment of the agreement. Then you come to Abraham, and when you come to Abraham, why I come back to Abraham? So then you come to Noah. Once you come to Noah, what happens is the rainbow is created. So that means up until Noah, there wasn't a phenomena called a rainbow. Okay, so water did not cause the infiltration of the sunlight, and thereby refraction and stuff like that. It didn't happen. So the concept starts with Noah, no problem. So in Noah's case, there's a rainbow, and the rainbow is a significant symbol of the pact that happened. So stuff like that, right? So it is God little by little making adjustments, making promises, making and albeit he gave promises and he stood by them. All right, I'll give it to him. So he's a man of his word. So he does these things in order to either move man away from sin and put them on a righteous path, whatever you believe, or he does them so that he gets a chance to demonstrate how powerful he is, and thereby show man that they should act accordingly. Okay, either fear or persuasion, whatever it is, you choose it. Okay, so no one disagrees on this either. Okay, we all agree upon it. So if what's important is the so basically Old Testament is about this, is about how God little by little got more and more involved and more demanded more and more from man as he got involved. And it is on the level of involvement in man's life that he demanded more from man. Okay, so uh, certain things had to change after man had moved so long on the path of righteousness that uh, that after some time, okay, uh, like you see there's a sort of balance, like I cannot correctly remember. I think it was Diablo. Can't correctly remember where I learned this from, but uh, like there's good and bad in the world. I think it was Avatar. Anyways, so there's good and bad in the world, and obviously they both exist, and obviously they both should exist. All right. So, what do you think will happen if one side moves so far away from the balance point? Okay, like imagine a scale. Okay, both sides should be balanced, so it should be 50 good and 50 bad, both sides. Total is 100. So, what do you think will happen if one side becomes 99 and the other side becomes 1? All right. So it is like what most people believe is that it never happens like that. Like if one side moves the the like if one side shifts in balance and goes, just like how everything happens, like even in the stock market, how if there is a buy pull, then there is a sell push as well. So just like that, there is a correction that happens. All right. And depending on how unnaturally far we have come from one side, then the other side would push back even harder, and it will come back to equilibrium. All right. So like you would see, like when societies are booming, when the culture is going up, when the people are behaving well, when all these things are happening, some shit happens. Right, some shit happens somewhere, right? So it is not that the world is trying to do evil, or it is not that the world is trying to push an agenda, right? That's not what's happening. It is that naturally everything should be at equilibrium. Naturally everything should be at a balance. There should be an equal amount of good and equal amount of bad as well. Okay, so the fact that we are pushing against it is unnatural, and therefore it should unnaturally correct its course, and that unnatural correction of its course is considered chaotic, is considered you know destruction. All right. So just imagine every time God got involved and God had to save man. Okay, be it Abraham, be it Noah, be it Moses, whoever it is. All right, it every step of the way it came with destruction. All right, if Noah saved the world, all right, by taking a pair of each animal, including themselves, for humans, all right, then that means the rest of the world had to go, and it did go. Okay, so things like this, you know, pique my interest. Like is the Bible, forthcoming about this information? Like, is it presented in this particular way that I'm saying? No. All right, albeit this is what I get from it. Okay, is that God knows that it cannot happen like that. Okay, like even in the instance where God came down. Okay, even in the instance where God came down, right, the the balance was tipped in the negative side, and man was sinning a lot. So in order to correct the course and bring it back to equilibrium, God had to die. Isn't that the case? Only like if we had to correct its course by human sacrifices, then it would have taken us the exact amount of time and exact amount of number of people to be killed. But instead, all that could be bypassed because the person who was killed is divine. Okay, and thereby the balances were corrected again. Okay, so when it comes to Old Testament, the Old Testament is correcting man and pushing them to a righteous path, but then leaving, like, unnaturally causing more good in the side of man, because most of them are getting to be more pious and adhere to God and God's commandments and stuff like that. So by the time it reached to, I believe, Jesus Christ, okay, when it is coming back, okay, there was a huge gap or course correction that needed to happen, and it switched back. Okay, and then Sodom and Gomorrah happens, and stuff like this keep on happening, where people had to be killed, had to be murdered. And I'm not justifying them. I'm 100% against them, and I don't abide by any of the bullshit excuses that people give when it comes to killing anyone. Okay, but regardless of that, all right, according to the Bible, according to the context, and according to not even according to the context, but according to what ideologies you had, okay, the only logical way within that idea was that mass murder had to happen. Okay, so that happens. All right, so that happens, and the correction is made, and then again, that is just man's uh, actions and their repercussions. But when it comes to saving, like, the whole of the world and the sins of the world, that is a different what you say, different scale. Right, there were two scales. So one scale belongs to man and man's actions and their repercussions. That's one scale which got balanced when it came near to Jesus, and when it came near to Jesus. And the second balance, or else the most important balance, is the total number of sins and the total number of good done. So that scale had to be balanced by Jesus Christ. Right, that's a different scale. So anyways, New Testament is like, if Old Testament was God getting involved and trying his best to push man away from sin, and thereby he does that. But then equally, like, however much he pushes man to the side of good, natural balance requires man coming either back down to the equilibrium, or the equilibrium coming back up. Okay, either of the two, and that happens. All right, so the next option would be New Testament, in which New Testament, Jesus is coming down, he is trying to show something different. He's trying, like, if God's first initiative was to poke man a little bit around and try to push them, all right, without coming into physical contact. Right, God's second idea was, all right, why don't I go down there and I do it? And also, because I already have to do something like this in order to get them saved, all right, why not I, like, catch two birds from one stone. Okay, so he lost a weekend on that. So he came down, and that started. So in that regard, what he also did was a course correction and an idea correction as well. So anyone who reads the Bible would understand that the Old Testament is much more harsh, it's much more direct, and God's mercy is all over the place, right? And God's wrath is a spectrum, and just like an LGBTQ kid, you never know what you like. You don't know his pronouns, and he's always in a bad mood, and he's unapproachable. But then all of a sudden, when it comes to the New Testament and the Son of God, and the Son of God claiming to be God, and the Trinity and stuff like this, all right, we find that Jesus Christ is approachable. Jesus Christ is a human. Jesus Christ is God, but still he's approachable. He's good. He's you know he's a man. You know he's a man. So he bleeds. He's a man. All right. So this more I would say more dusty and hands dirty way of getting to know man and being with man. All right. It all is required because there's a lot of shit in the Old Testament that is either not answered correctly or just left out, and people were left there. Okay, and Jesus was the answer for it. Okay, so so if all churches believe all these things, which are the most fundamental understandings and fundamental reasons as to why uh, whichever name you give, this religion exists, all right, is because we believe in those things, and the other things are not as important. Then why do you have the urge to build a different church, build a different building, build a new barrier between you and the others? Okay, there's only one interpretation, right? Like I believe that in the Bible it is mentioned that, I think it's in the book of Revelation, I suppose. Okay, I'll add that also to the description, definitely. As far as I can remember, it is that whomever adds anything to what is said here shall be added into his list of deeds upon entering the gates, and whomever removes things from his list shall be removed upon entering the pearly gates. So thereby telling people that you are not authorized to add or subtract anything from this book. Now imagine a person say, okay, so I am talking about the things that are mentioned in the book, I am talking about the exact same words, all right, I haven't removed anything, I haven't added anything, so I'm okay. But if you like, tone can mean things in a different way. The way you write, okay, noted. The way you present, or as the way you read, right, can mean certain things in certain way, all right. So it all depends on how you understand it and how you say it. So either the Bible is intended to cause mass hysteria and confusion and lead people to rip apart the church and make as many denominations as possible, and to just dilute and dissect and dissolve the true meaning in such a way that you cannot find one single one, like you cannot draw one direct line from Jesus. Okay, either that, so no one can complain, so no, it's no one's responsibility, either that, or there is one real true interpretation, and either one of us have to have it or none of us have it as of yet. Okay, because if we had one true interpretation and we have found it, then there wouldn't be any reason for us to have all these churches. But if we don't have one true understanding, then obviously we will be ripping apart, trying to find the answer. Okay, So when it comes to the Orthodox Church and whatever churches it is, all right, I'm not going to go in deep on the the different churches, but I will do separate videos for each church and give them the time that is necessary to understand that church. But rather, what I'm trying to talk about right now here is that why do we need to separate? Alright, and my idea is that if the message is so profound, if the message is so clear, and if the message is actually very simple as it is stated in the book, alright, and truly, if you read the book and if you believe what is said in the book, then the most fundamental understanding that you need to have, right, put everything aside, alright. If Jesus said, okay, in order to attain heaven, okay, all you have to do is put faith in God, believe in God, and pray, and be a good kind human being, all right. If that is all that is needed, that you live by the 10 commandments, no problem, all right. If those are the only 15 things that you need to do in order to enter heaven, then how is it that requires us to create more churches in whatever name, in whatever reason? Like, there wasn't any problem in what you call God, okay. It doesn't matter if you call God, if it doesn't matter if you call God Father, it doesn't matter if you call God Jesus, it doesn't matter if you call God Yahweh, all right, and Jehovah, or whatever it is, alright, even Allah, because in Aramaic it is Allah, alright. So it doesn't matter, because that was not the focal point, that is not a foundational thing, that is not something that is 1000% going to decide whether or not you get into heaven. No. Okay. No. So if the fundamental understanding, if the fundamental teaching is fulfilled, is taught, then why are we killing, and why are we trying to kill each other over these minuscule things that don't even matter? Okay. So what I want you readers to understand is that either it should be no churches at all and only one theology, or two, there should be many churches because it is fucking confused, right? The book is causing the confusion. Okay, so it depends on what you believe. Like, if the church that you belong to, all right, if the church that you belong to doesn't, the reason why they don't believe or they don't accept the other churches as giving out the message of God, or giving out the good news of God, the reason why you believe so is because you believe they have a different interpretation, or they are led astray by something, all right. Then there is an equal possibility that you belong to that group too. Okay, so what we have to do is not to remove and move past these churches and forget that they exist, but what we need to do is we shouldn't care much. Okay, like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me whether you care or not. Okay, this is a problem that you guys have to find an answer for. It's not my problem, but I'm talking about it because I used to believe so. Okay, I was taught that they were led astray by Satan. I was taught that they had more human, what you say, they looked at the world in a more human way, and therefore they are led astray because they are human and humans have flaws. So I was also taught that there are versions of the Bible, the words that they use are wrong. Okay, so they give all these excuses, but then at the end of the day, the Bible that you're reading, all right, is based on the Latin Bible. Okay, so Jesus didn't speak Latin, so how did it come to Latin? It was translated from what? From the Greek or the Roman, all right. But Jesus didn't speak either of the two. So what did Jesus speak? Jesus spoke Aramaic. So if you translate the Bible from Aramaic to English directly, and then Aramaic to Hebrew, then Hebrew to Greek, Greek to Roman, Roman to Latin, Latin to English, alright, the final product of the two is totally different, right? Though the fundamental story is true, the fundamental idea is true, the fundamental logic is true, the most important parts are true, alright, but everything else, all these minor details, alright, all of them, they change. So maybe it is the fact that we all have different translations that come from different roots that wasn't the original source. Maybe that's why you all have these problems with regards to the minor details. Okay? Nowhere in the Bible has it said that Jesus will lose it. Like Jesus will go gorilla crazy on you if you worship, like a statue of Saint Peter or something like that. Not worship in the sense that you kiss it or you adore it, right? They are, stand-ins for who the person is represented, right? They, like, you're not worshipping them. Okay, you laying some flowers down on a statue doesn't mean you're worshipping them. Okay, that is not what it means. So if that doesn't mean that, then how is it a problem? How is it like it is a problem? Okay, I'll give it to you, but how is it, like, how much of a problem is it that you go above and beyond to create a different church that either does or does not do that? Like, that I do not understand. Okay, I think, for me, I think the message is clear. I think the foundation is clear. I think the rules and regulations are clear. Alright, I think what you have to do is clear. Right, I think the book is clear. The book is clear about the most important stuff. Alright, it's just that it's bullshit. That's what I believe. But I believe that apart from the fact that it being bullshit, it is clear in the message. Right, so all this confusion that these people are talking about, regardless of what church you believe, alright, regardless of what church you go to, okay, these denominations, these separations, these barriers, all that is just bullshit. Okay, that's bullshit upon bullshit. Right, so my understanding is that there's no reason whatsoever that begs you to rip apart and make a new church. There is none. And if you are doing so, or if you're planning to do so in the future, go ahead and do it, because it's not my problem. It's not my fucking problem, and I can't give two shits about it. But don't do it, like, I mean, yeah, go ahead, do it, no problem. So yeah, that's, I think I have to end the video right now because it's 5% battery. So yeah, that's what I have to say. All right, I think the message is clear. I think all that is clear. I think it's just that you guys are so stupid out there, all right, with the bullshit in your head, and with more poison that you put into your ears each week. All right, you guys are fucking retarded, and that's why it's not so obvious to you, right? But it's obvious to me, and it's obvious why I left. It's obvious where I stand, and it was only obvious to me because I read it through each and every way I can find it. All the versions that's available for me to find, I read through all of them. I read through the ones that are not so influenced by the same origin also. So it gives me new perspectives, more understanding, more points of views. And at the end of the day, I think I have a more holistic picture about what and what not God intended than most people who believe only in one thing have. And therefore I believe that I have more grounds covered to come to a decision, and thereby I did my due diligence, and I had decided. So my final verdict is not either. We don't need all these churches. We only need one. Alright? And I believe that all of you have to come together. Alright? If you are really about peace, if you are really about love, if you are really about compassion, if you are really about forgiving the others, forgiving your enemies, mostly. If that is your true directive, if that is your true understanding, then there's no reason for you to separate and build barriers and build walls. You have to accept each other, and you all have to come to one community. The fact that you are not coming proves that you are not what you say you are. So yeah, I do not believe in division. That's the final verdict. And I don't believe there is an enough case to be made to justify the divisions that exist. Alright, so yeah, you're stupid. Thank you. Bye.